Tonight I'm going to begin a series of readings from the book Brave New World Revisited by Aldous Huxley, which is a commentary on his dystopic novel Brave New World. But before I get into reading his novel, I'd like to share with you a little something from Wikipedia on Aldous Huxley. Aldous Leonard Huxley, 26 July 1894 to 22 November 1963, was an English writer and one of the most prominent members of the famous Huxley family. He spent the later part of his life in the United States, living in Los Angeles from 1937 until his death in 1963. Best known for his novels including Brave New World and wide-ranging output of essays, he also published short stories, poetry, travel writing, and film stories and scripts. Aldous Huxley was a humanist and pacifist, and he was latterly interested in spiritual subjects such as parapsychology and philosophical mysticism. He is also well known for advocating and taking psychedelics. By the end of his life, Huxley was considered in some academic circles a leader of modern thought and an intellectual of the highest rank. Aldous Huxley was born in Godalming, Surrey, England in 1894. He was the third son of the writer and schoolmaster Leonard Huxley and first wife Julia Arnold, who founded Prior's Field School. Julia was the niece of Matthew Arnold and the sister of Mrs. Humphrey Ward. Aldous was the grandson of Thomas Henry Huxley, the zoologist, agnostic and controversialist, Darwin's bulldog. His brother Julian Huxley and half-brother Andrew Huxley also became outstanding biologists. Huxley began his learning in his father's well-equipped botanical laboratory, then continued in a school named Hillside. His teacher was his mother, who supervised him for several years until she became terminally ill. After Hillside, he was educated at Eton College. Huxley's mother died in 1908 when he was 14. In 1911, he suffered an illness which left him practically blind for 2 to 3 years. Aldous' near blindness disqualified him for service in World War I. Once his eyesight recovered sufficiently, he was able to study English literature at Balliol College, Oxford. He graduated in 1916 with first-class honors. Following his education at Balliol, Huxley was financially indebted to his father and had to earn a living. He taught French for a year at Eton, where Eric Blair, later known by the pen name George Orwell, and Stephen Runciman were among his pupils, but was remembered as an incompetent and hopeless teacher who couldn't keep discipline. Nevertheless, Blair and others were impressed by his use of words. For a short while, in 1918, he was employed acquiring provisions at the Air Ministry. Significantly, Huxley also worked for a time in the 1920s at the technologically advanced Brunner and Mond chemical plant in Billingham, Teesside. In the most recent introduction to his famous science fiction novel, Brave New World, 1932, states that this experience of an ordered universe in a world of planless incoherence was one source for the novel. Huxley completed his first unpublished novel at the age of 17 and began writing seriously in his early 20s. His earlier work includes important novels on the dehumanizing aspects of scientific progress, most famously Brave New World, and on pacifist themes, for example, Eyeless in Gaza. In Brave New World, Huxley portrays a society operating on the principles of mass production and Pavlovian conditioning. Huxley was strongly influenced by F. Matthias Alexander and included him as a character in Eyeless in Gaza. There's more on him, but that's all I'm going to read for right now. Let me read to you what the reviews say in the back of the book about Brave New World Revisited. In this latest book, Huxley uses his erudite knowledge of human relations to compare our actual world with his prophetic fantasy of 1931. It is a frightening experience, indeed, to discover how much of his satirical prediction of a distant future became reality in so short a time. Brave New World Revisited is of the utmost importance for the knowledge of growing psychic pressures in a world of transition. And that's from the New York Times Book Review. Brave New World Revisited bears a message which, enforced by Mr. Huxley's seriousness and clear dialectic on dealing with social problems, we cannot ignore. His criticism has left behind the cynicism so characteristic of his earlier works. The last pages carry a somewhat tragic note about his misgivings whether man himself wishes to be saved. His prophecy is not very optimistic. Accordingly, he feels that we are heading toward a scientific dictatorship, and that this dictatorship will be enforced not through the threat of violence against men and women and their offspring, but by providing them comforts, also giving them rewards for behavior that is condoned in the society. So by giving these rewards, it's a Pavlovian way of controlling behavior, right? If you have a positive feedback, then you will get the behavior that's desired. And that's pretty much what he talks about in Brave New World Revisited. You know, he goes over what he mentions in Brave New World, talks about how he doesn't really think that people are going to be created in the manner in which they're created in Brave New World, that for a long time coming, children will still be born of parents, you know, he calls it viviparous breeding. But he does see that we are moving toward a society that is more and more controlled. The one thing that he points out, which is really important, is that the threat of violence, force, in order for a population to behave in a desired manner, is not efficient. At least not as efficient as a population which follows a certain behavior by consent. Very important thing that he has to say. And we will begin reading from the novel, not the novel, from the book in the next video.